And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Moving to today's satellite imagery, wave moving northward here during the morning hours today. Kicked the winds up anywhere from 30 to 50 miles an hour in gusts out of the south and southeast here across south central Alaska, with another round of rain coming with it, spreading up into the central interior, wave back through here, and higher pressure here keeping it dry over the southeast coast, southeast interior areas. Kind of a breakout here over the Bering Sea, then a lot of clouds with the next system out to the west. And for Sunday morning, IFR out over the western central Bering Sea to about Adak, Atka, marginal VFR. VFR to start the day for the eastern Aleutians, maybe the Pribilofs. IFR along the southwest part of the state into northern Bristol Bay, up through the Bering Strait, and then back along the Arctic coast with better flying conditions here over the eastern interior, with a lot of VFR there from the North Slope all the way down into the southeastern Copper River Basin here. Some marginal VFR along and south of the Alaska Range, or on the eastern slopes here into Cook Inlet. IFR up into Prince William Sound there, and just along the south coast of the Kenai Peninsula. Marginal VFR over the western two-thirds of the Panhandle. And for the afternoon, that improves there to mostly VFR over the inside waters, but lingering marginal VFR along the coast up to about Yakutat. Still some IFR here in the Gulf of Alaska, but Prince William Sound becoming marginal. And some marginal VFR areas of here through the central interior, with VFR either side of that except along the Brooks Range where it stays marginal. IFR along the central western Arctic coast mainly. VFR in Kaktovik Barter Island area though. VFR now along the southwest coast, Nunivak Island, St. Lawrence Island, Alaska Peninsula. And the Pribilofs now some IFR slides in, and no changes out to the west, staying mostly IFR. And for the morning hours Monday, band of IFR here coming in across the Pribilof Islands down to just north of Unalaska Island. And now from Atka westward, southwest Bering, all solid IFR there. And much of the interior, southern Alaska, is VFR, a little bit of marginal VFR up along the Brooks Range, some back up here to the northwest. And Kodiak Island, VFR. Marginal VFR for the southeast coast and Prince William Sound. And for the afternoon, IFR kind of backs up toward the Kenai Peninsula here and east side of Kodiak Island, possibly making landfall there on the east side, but generally marginal for the remainder of the island. Marginal VFR along the coast of the Panhandle, but inside waters, looking good. VFR there. Marginal VFR up over the Copper River Basin. Interior Alaska, the remainder, good VFR. And lower conditions course out over the Bering Sea. A band right through here in the northeast Bering, and then the western Aleutians, central Aleutians actually as well, all in the IFR zone. And for passes, Anatuvik and Adigan, occasionally marginal for the day tomorrow. And moving down to the Alaska Range, Lake Clark and Merrill starting out IFR, proving to marginal VFR, maybe better in the later afternoon. Rainy, marginal VFR at times throughout the day. Sunday, windy, same forecast, especially the southern entrance here, marginal VFR. Better conditions to the north. Isabel, marginal VFR with the lowest conditions on the southern approach. And from Antasta, VFR. Tanita, marginal VFR becoming VFR, hopefully before afternoon. And Portage, IFR early, becoming marginal VFR through the afternoon. And Chilkoot and White, VFR. Freezing levels here, 2,000 feet down to about St. Lawrence Island, but 4,000 feet coming all the way down to the eastern Aleutians, and then 12 to 14,000 feet here over the southwest east part of the state here with upper high pressure from the Gulf into western Canada. And for icing, with all the moisture coming in, areas of considerable moderate rime icing. One area here, southern Prince William Sound. Otherwise, isolated moderate here through the eastern interior, then back into the heavier stuff here over the northwest part of the state, down across the eastern Seward Peninsula to Norton Sound. And another batch here of some considerable moderate rime icing coming into the southern Bering Sea, spreading in toward Adak Island. And looking at the jet stream, west-northwest flow, pushing that next batch eastward here into the central Aleutians. and a good jet right, cutting right across the interior of the state, 110 to 145 knots out of the southwest, and that coming up and over this big ridge of high pressure, keeping it dry over the southeast coast and most of northwest Canada. 3,000 feet, or I'm sorry, 9,000 feet, 60 knots, southwest winds right over the Copper River Basin. Pretty windy here over much of interior Alaska at this elevation, 50 to 55 knots, dropping off along the western part of the state, light and variable over the Panhandle, and 40 to 45 knots with that next system over the western Bering Sea. And for Sunday, with that system out there, 40 to 60 knot winds ahead of that, ahead of the cold front or occluded front with that thing out there. Up here in northwest, low over the northwest part of the state, southwest 40 knots there. Otherwise lighter now down over southern Alaska, but narrow band of 30 knot winds coming up toward the eastern North Gulf Coast, but not quite making it. Turbulence-wise, considerable moderate turbulence across central and southern Alaska, especially Cook Inlet, Susitna Valley, the Alaska Range area, with some isolated moderate turbulence out to the west there from the northwest coast down to St. Lawrence Island. And then with that next system, look for moderate turbulence coming into the Aleutians, edging eastward there toward Atka Island late in the day.